Hi, my name is Elspeth Maurer, and my case analysis is over Ford Motor Company. So let's talk about Ford's background. Ford Motor Company dates back to 1896 when Henry Ford built the quadricycle. A few years later, in 1903, Henry Ford opened Ford Motor Company, forming the first Ford vehicle at the Mack Avenue plant. Then, in 1913, he started what they call an assembly line, which perfected his craft and reduced the time to build a car from 12 hours down to only 2.5 hours. Now let's talk a little bit about their current strategy. Ford Motor Company is an American-made car business that did not take a government handout during the recession. The other American-made competitor, Chevrolet, required government assistance during the recession. Instead of taking a bailout, Ford was able to survive by making some internal cuts and eliminating some of their costly facilities. Ford is known for their trucks, recently partnered with Lyft, and this was a great way for Ford to find a way to learn about the transportation market and explore opportunities within the transportation market. Ford hopes to eliminate their sedan line except for the Ford Focus hatchback, Coupe Mustang, and then focus on strategizing their truck and SUV line. Ford also plans to release many new vehicles in 2019 and 2020, such as the Bronco, the Ranger, a hybrid truck, and an all-electric SUV. So now that we've talked about the strategy and the background, let's talk about Porter's 5 forces model. These are 5 forces that affect the industry that Ford is in, the automotive industry. The first one is a strong force, and that's the intensity of rivalry. The intensity of rivalry in the automotive industry is very high. In 2017, Ford placed 6th in the ranking of total number of units sold, with a total of 6.2 million units sold. While Ford is not far behind GM, who sold 6.8 million units in 2017, Ford still has a ways to go to catch Volkswagen, who holds first place and sold 10.37 million units in 2017. The intensity of rivalry is a strong force that Ford is having to face in the automotive industry. The second strong force is the bargaining power of buyers. A larger portion of their revenue comes from trucks for Ford. Due to the high volume of competition in the automotive industry, there is a high volume of rivals in the market. This volume gives buyers a higher bargaining power when going to a dealership, since the switching costs between different brand trucks with Ford's competition is similar for consumers. While Ford's heavy reliance on revenue from their trucks, if another brand or several other brands rise in popularity, this will cause Ford sales to decline. So now there are 2 moderate forces for Ford. The first one is the threat of substitutes. The threat of substitutes is defined by the category in which a company defines itself. While there's not a huge variety of substitutes for automobiles, there's a variety of substitutes for transportation, which is what an automobile provides. In big cities such as New York or San Francisco, it's hard for people to travel around the city in an automobile due to the dense population. Public transportation such as trains, subways, bikes, and even walking are all forms of transportation substitutes. Now let's talk about the bargaining power of suppliers, which is also a moderate force for Ford. Ford obtains approximately 80% of its parts from about 100 different suppliers. Since Ford purchases such a high percentage of their parts from suppliers, this causes the bargaining power of suppliers to be a moderate force. The final force for Ford is a low force, and that's the threat of new entry. This is the weakest force in the automobile industry. The amount of capital used to begin an automobile company would not be the only factor preventing new entrants. Vehicles are a big product to produce, therefore the new company would have to invest in manufacturing space, storage space, and worry about competing with other companies' contracts and alliances in the supplier world. These are difficult and strong barriers to penetrate in the automotive industry. So speaking of forces, let's talk about the driving forces within the automobile industry. The first one is the focus on aesthetics and on vehicles. Every car manufacturing company offers comparable vehicles with one another. Nissan has increased their focus on their trucks by improving the style and offering a line of diesel-fueled vehicles. Chevrolet recently redid the front bumpers and body style of their trucks to make it more appealing. The increase of this competition in the automobile industry is resulting in many style changes for each manufacturer. It's driving innovation in the aesthetics appeal of manufacturers' vehicles. The second driving force is the movement of demographics to care for the environment. The movement of demographics has resulted in companies having to pay more attention to their care for the environment and the community in which they're involved in. Part of the way automobile companies do this is through the improvement of vehicles' emission standards and focusing more on alternative fuels. Ford recently introduced an all-electric Ford Focus hatchback. While most car companies entered the 100% electric market a few years ago, Ford played the reactor role in this market situation. The third driving force for the automobile industry is the advancements in modern technology. The technological advancements in a vehicle now plays a crucial role in the desirability and competitiveness of each vehicle made. Nissan, as well as several other manufacturers, offer the ability of your vehicle to stop or slow down when cruise control is set, but it stops for you. This is the first steps that the automobile industry is taking towards autonomous vehicles. The thought behind an autonomous vehicle would be a person would no longer have to worry about accidents or other drivers that could contribute to wrecks happening in vehicles. Staying ahead of this driving force in the automobile industry and the advancements of modern technology will be important for all automobile industry participants. So let's talk about the key success factors in the automobile industry. The first one is flexibility. Flexibility is really important because a company has to be able to adapt to the changing demographics, the changing regulations, and the changing of people's desires from their vehicles. The consumer's needs are constantly changing, so flexibility is very important in order for Ford or any other automobile company to be able to adapt their product. The second key success factor is technology. As the advancement of technology continues, technology will remain a key success factor in all industries. Technology is a core part of society, and it will continue to be an important part of company growth. The automobile industry will have to continue to add improvements towards their cars and will eventually result in autonomous vehicles. These vehicles will offer less stress and hopefully reduce risk on the road. This is a continuous improvement, will remain an important key success factor in the automobile industry. The third one is consistency. Consistency is an important key success factor because of the growth of social media, the ability of a company to cut corners or get away with unethical behavior has become harder and harder. This is because once something negative occurs at a company, it can be sent across the world in seconds, which makes it more and more important for companies to offer consistency in their product, consistency in their brand, so the consumers can trust the product and have no reason to back away and switch brands. So now that we've talked about the key success factors and the driving forces, let's talk about the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The strengths for Ford are strong brand name recognition, strong sales presence in North America and Europe, ability to reallocate funds when in financial stress, ability to provide cost-efficient vehicles, increased popularity of Lincoln SUVs. Some weaknesses for Ford: forecasting and analyzing errors by removing a product line, vulnerable due to overdependence on the sales of a specific product line, relies heavily on income from financing company Ford Motor Credit, failure to innovate along with the market trends, increasing company risk by pioneering in a new market. So let's talk about some opportunities. Produce some electric vehicles and hybrid crossovers, expanding from automobiles to the transportation industry, autonomous vehicles to enhance transition into transportation or delivery market. Market needs movement towards the autonomous vehicles, so producing an autonomous vehicle and advancement in technology included within the automobiles. So let's talk about some threats. Fluctuating fuel prices increasing popularity of competitors in the Asian markets, changing of U.S. foreign market policies, multiple automotive companies partnered with Lyft, and then Nissan offers a diesel truck, GMC Colorado diesel, and then Ram 1500 diesel. So diesel fuels trucks for other competitors. So now that we've talked about the SWOT analysis, let's go into the analysis of the financials. The first one we're going to talk about is the return on assets. As can be seen by the ROA calculation, Ford's ROA decreased from 4.2% in 2013 to 0.2% in 2014. And then it ended at 1.3% in 2017. The results of this metric coincide with Ford's decline in struggling to utilize their economic resources efficiently. So let's talk about the return on equity. Ford ends 2013 with a strong ROE of 55.8%, only to have a decline that leaves the ROE at 4.8% in 2014. Although Ford makes a recovery and ends 2017 with a positive increase for the ROE metric from 15.9% in 2016 to 23.7% in 2017. This metric reflects Ford's strong ability to create a return on the company's investments. Let's talk about GPM, or gross profit margin. In 2013, Ford begins with a strong GPM of 14.2%, dropping 5.5% to 8.7% in 2014. Then Ford sees another drop in the GPM from 12.1% in 2015 to 10.6% in 2017. Ford needs to either create a higher revenue or reduce the cost of goods sold if they want to see an increase in their gross profit margin. Let's talk about the operating profit margin, or OPM. Ford's OPM was 3.2% in 2017, which was the result of another drop from 4.2% in 2016. This metric further proves the point that Ford needs to find other avenues for generating a higher revenue, as well as decrease their operating expenses. The final metric we're going to talk about is net profit margin, or NPM. In 2013, Ford's NPM began on a high note at 8.1%, dropping to an all-time low of 0.9% in 2014. The NPM increased 4% from 0.9% in 2014 to 4.9% in 2015 for Ford. Ford's NPM continued on a similar trend, decreasing to 3.0% in 2016, but jumping back up to 4.8% in 2017. This metric provides proof of Ford's positive path to improving efficiency and reducing unnecessary expenses. So let's talk about some strategic concerns. So after examining the SWOT analysis, the financials, and using Porter's 5 forces model, I came up with 5 strategic concerns for Ford. Lack of alternative fuels, heavy reliance on trucks for revenue, partnership with Lyft, who is also partnered with competitors, high risks associated with entrance into unknown market and market transition, and the affordable, average, moderate brand image. So, with these strategic concerns, I've come up with 3 recommendations for Ford to improve these 5 strategic concerns. The first company recommendation is a joint venture with Amazon and autonomous vehicles. With the increase of Amazon presence, there is an obvious strengthening of any company who joins in their service to the market. The first suggestion involves the joint venture with Amazon that would present an alternative revenue route for Ford to help ease their reliance on trucks for a profit. In the joint venture, Ford and Amazon would pool their resources together for the most efficient and cost-effective delivery system for Amazon. Both companies could work with one another towards the development of road-legal autonomous electric vehicles. Amazon would be able to cut out the middleman between their product and the consumer, which is currently UPS, FedEx, or USPS. Amazon would be able to offer their own personal delivery system using Ford's vehicles. Amazon would not have to worry about hiring new employees because the vehicle would be self-driving. Instead, Ford and Amazon's joint venture, or Project D, could invest in several facilities where the all-electric vehicles could be charged daily. In these facilities, they could use a rotating system to switch off the cars being charged daily. Project D would also allow Amazon to offer a wider variety of delivery times, allowing them to do more business, which would increase their profit. This increase in business would result in the need of more vehicles, which would increase the profit for Ford. Because if Amazon needs more vehicles, Ford has to make more vehicles, because Ford would be supplying their vehicles in Project D. This would also give Ford access to all of Amazon's resources, and as a large presence in the market, Amazon has a wide variety of resources. So this recommendation will help address several of the strategic concerns: the heavy reliance of revenue from trucks, the lack of alternative fuels, and brand image. This joint venture will also combat some of the high risks associated with Ford's entrance into the transportation market by presenting another potential revenue market. The second recommendation we have for Ford is a hybrid truck promotion for commercial consumers. This recommendation will address the lack of alternative fuels and brand image that is maintaining the most fuel-efficient truck. With the release of the Ford Ranger, Ford diesel engines, and Ford hybrid trucks, the importance of maintaining their edge will be an important key factor for Ford. Ford should offer a special promotion to the commercial consumers to help them in the promotion of the hybrid truck. Offering a special edition hybrid truck for commercial leases would allow Ford to appeal to the companies who need, lease, or purchase vehicles for commercial purposes. This promotion should include 0% interest for the companies purchasing the vehicles and a wear and tear waiver for the companies leasing the hybrid Fords with trucks. This will help promote a desirable, innovative brand for Ford and help improve their overall image and attractiveness of Ford. So the third recommendation that I have for Ford is a line of hybrid SUVs and crossovers for the Lyft partnership. This recommendation revolves around Ford offering a special line of hybrid SUVs focused around the ride-sharing capabilities that Ford would want to offer with Lyft. This line of vehicles could become part of the attractiveness of Lyft's partnership with Ford. Since Lyft is partnered with competitors of Ford's, the focus needs to be on creating a line of SUVs that would offer the maximum amount of transportation for consumers, as well as attractive features that would set Ford apart from the competitors. This specific line of SUVs should include Wi-Fi in the vehicle, allowing the average business person to access work while on their commute, as well as teenagers access to social media while riding to school. This would help attract the average consumer and ease their transition from driving themselves to riding with Lyft. The line through Ford should offer a reward program for daily or weekly users who choose to ride with Ford SUV with Lyft over the competitors. The reward program could offer points that would lead up to a free ride or upgrade with an SUV with more features. There should be two different packages that are offered in this: the basic SUVs and then a more advanced package that add features such as coffee makers, USB ports, Wi-Fi, and other types of features that would help encourage the consumers to want to ride more with Ford and want to pick Ford over their competitors. This type of line of vehicles would help encourage consumers to choose Ford vehicles to travel over the competitors, resulting in Lyft wanting to create a stronger, more exclusive partnership with Ford and help reduce some of the risks involved with the transition into the transportation market. And that is my case analysis for Ford Motor. Thank you.